happening, lads? Welcome to the fourth episode of Who's Got the Ball. So this week I've got a couple of guests coming on. So I've got Conan coming on to chat about the NFL. We're going to do a Super Bowl preview, and I've got my buddy Michael coming on also to chat about the NBA trade deadline and just kind of trades that have already gone down, the big ones, mostly about Luka, AD, and the impact of that trade and the De'Aaron Fox trade at Zach LaVine. So those are kind of a couple of guests that we have on this week for something different for the two big topics that are currently floating around the sporting world. I'm going to cover the football myself because Shane is unfortunately still injured. He's got a pretty bad injury to his back, so hopefully he'll be joining us again next week. But wishing him the best, and hopefully he recovers. Because yeah, we both wanna keep this going. We really appreciate all the support so far. So let's just jump straight into that chat with Conan. Okay, lads. So we're gonna preview the Super Bowl here. So we've got a guest on to chat about the Super Bowl this week with Shane in a bad way. So I'll let you introduce yourself, man. Work away and tell us what you're at and what your interest is in the NFL.
Thank you very much for having me to start off with. So, my name's Kanan. So I've got my silly sports graphic page called Gwilet Doll, and my background really in American football. So I played American football back in 2018, and so I played it during university, and then played for the closest regional side in a way. And then for the past 2 years now, I've started coaching in my local university. So that's
Cool, man.
kind of my background really. I got
That's
into
sick.
it obviously with Madden like everyone else does.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's so sick. You guys need to check out Conan's page as well, because yeah, those you do. It's not just on the NFL, so he has graphics and stuff he makes for obviously covers NFL as well and American football in general, but rugby stuff. If I'm not wrong, so big rugby
yeah,
fan. Obviously,
yeah,
things aren't
yeah,
going
yeah.
things aren't going great for Wales at the moment, but we
No,
won't talk about that.
no. Thankfully, this is not a podcast talking about that state. So no, we will not mention that at all. No.
We'll avoid that altogether. So we're gonna cover the Super Bowl, give our verdict at the end as well. We're gonna chat about who we think is gonna win. So obviously everything has led up to this season. We've got the Chiefs again, and we've got the
Again,
Eagles. So a replay of 2 years ago. Like I
yeah,
don't think there's many people that wanted to see this game. I know I didn't. I would have rathered at least one of either the Bills or the Commanders in this. But I
yeah.
think
I'm
a
on the
lot of
same
people are
boat.
in. Yeah, yeah. Like I think it's kind of a situation that everybody didn't want. But I think as I felt at first, I was kind of like, ah, God, I felt like I'm boycotting this game. But then as the week or two goes by, then you're back ready to watch it again, I think. But yeah, I think for me, the main thing obviously that springs to mind in this game is going to be the running back situation for the Eagles. So what I was thinking, like, firstly, was Saquon is going to be the biggest man to do damage in this game for anybody. But then I kind of had a look behind a little bit more in the stats because I wanted to see. I knew James Cook had a big game last week, but more so on yards per game. I don't feel like they gave him enough touches. But I looked, and he had 6.5 yards per carry in that game last week against the Chiefs. His season average was 4.9, and then you had Mixon the week before with 4.9 yards per carry, and his season average is 4.1.
Wow.
And the Chiefs had allowed 100 yards per game on the ground this season in the regular season, which is pretty good. It's gone up to
Mm.
148 in on average between the two games in the playoffs. And then you have Saquon coming to town here, who has 5.8 yards per carry this regular season and 6.7 in the playoffs. So if each player is going up, it seems by about 20% roughly, this playoffs against the Chiefs. If you're looking at it that way, we could see this guy breaking off a 9 yard run every time he gets the ball. What do you
Mm.
think? What do you think about Saquon in this game?
Uh, I think you're totally right. It's this offense has been leaning on him for so much this season. I mean, rightly so. He's having a historic season. Could have broken the single season rushing record.
Yeah.
If he had a missed out game start of the season and if he didn't step out for the last game. But no, I think you're totally right. I think he's gonna have a big influence on this game. And without giving away what I think is going to happen by the final whistle, I do think he's going to have a big influence again. But I think because this Chiefs defense, people it doesn't stand out too much. I don't think people take it for granted almost. So like you said, so people are running the football more. They're testing them. They're thinking, yeah, they've got Mahomes. That's what they're are leaning on really. But this defense is no joke. No joke. You got
Yeah.
Chris Jones up front. We all know he's a menace. Steve Spagnuolo is the defensive coordinator, and I think what this defense does well, it might not have as many star-studded players or defenders as the Eagles has have. It's more about team tackling, playing as a team on defense. So there's not one guy leading the charge. They're all doing it together. They're all kind of molding it together. But I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to to not see Saquon
Yeah.
run pretty good, run pretty well this weekend.
I think, yeah, this is like, so people would focus on offense in terms of what would win this game, but like defense does so much. And I agree with you with the Chiefs, and I kind of thought about what like Spags might do here, and I thought it could be possible that if if they focus straight away on shutting down Saquon, if they go, okay, you can target AJ Brown, you can target Devonta Smith, Dallas Goddard, get Hurts, that's fine. Allow him to settle into a rhythm, but do not allow Saquon the ball. And
Mm.
then once Hurts gets into kind of a rhythm of passing, maybe they focus a little bit more on that, some passes out of the backfield to Saquon, then blitz him, blitz him to the highest level that you possibly can. Because we've seen last week that Spags does not care, even on the biggest down of the season, he just
No,
sends the
not at all.
house.
Mm.
And that's where Hurts struggles the most. When there's pressure in his face and when he has to hold on to the ball, that's where the Chiefs could win this game. So although I agree with what you said that everyone will think, oh, Mahomes, they'll lean on him. This defense could really cause a lot of trouble. And if they turn the ball over a couple of times, the Chiefs could be in business here, even though I wouldn't say many people would want that.
No, no, 100%. And you know what? It's like we've done these notes together, but honestly we haven't because I was thinking the exact same thing. I feel like I feel like the Chiefs will happily let Hurts try and get into his own rhythm, and as long as they just keep the big rushing plays down, they only let up. I think it was one play over 4 yards on the ground this regular season. So they're not a team that'll let up big plays like we saw Saquon run last week against the Commanders.
Yeah,
They'll happily let Hurts try and get into a rhythm, even though we've seen last couple of weeks Hurts doesn't want to throw for not too many times, but for big gains. So I
yeah,
think the last time he threw for a completion that was over 4 yards was back in week 11, I think, against the Commanders. So he's had a lot of criticism lately where he can't get past his first read. So especially like you said, with Steve Spagnuolo not giving a damn and blit- bringing the house, if
yeah,
he after his first read, he's gonna have someone in his face, and that's when it might be similar to the Rams game where he gets sacked multiple times, but
yes, yeah,
at the end of the day, I don't know if they're gonna be able to contain Saquon at the
yeah.
same time.
I don't even know if, as well with the strength of the O line for the Eagles, I feel like that's
Mm.
that's that's a benefit here too. Obviously, if you're sending the house every time, it's different. But I think if if Hurts, I think a lot of this relies on Hurts. I think people will look at Saquon as the deciding factor, but there's only so much Saquon can do if the game is played a certain way by the Chiefs. All of
Mm,
this relies on Hurts, his ability to read the game. And I know the last time they played in the Super Bowl, he had a good game. I know that fumble really kind of something people looked at, but the way he
mm,
played in that game, he was basically their entire offense. Like
yeah,
he threw for nearly 200 yards more than Mahomes did. He ran for 70 yards. Like the other running backs on the team were Kenny Gainwell and Miles Sanders. And now they have Saquon as somebody to lean on and a
yeah,
Hurts that's more experienced and has played in big games. So I
mm,
think he has had criticism, and fairly so, but I think it relies on whether he can get the ball out quickly. If he can, like you said, if he can get past his first read quickly, if they maybe, I don't know, maybe they look to Goddard a lot in this game, some kind of short
yeah,
passes over the middle, might suit Hurts too. And if he can get into a rhythm, I think that could be the winning of it for the Eagles. But I think if he does start to get a little bit shaky, a few sacks, and I don't want to say, an injury would happen in this game, but if they are sacking him, like if Chris Jones gets to him, who also has never had a sack in the Super Bowl, so it'd be interesting if he got a sack on him.
wow,
So that would be a
wow,
big one. And then if you
yeah,
have Karl Loftus, big body, coming
mm,
at you. I don't know. I would never want to see an injury in a Super Bowl to any team, but that
no,
could play a part if they are just trying to kind of destroy him with blitzes early on. I don't know. I could
mm,
see him, if not getting like, let's say, knocked out of his rhythm more than anything, and
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
feel the effects on the body of that.
yeah,
Yeah, I think the defense is going to play such a big part, but we can't talk about the Chiefs defense without looking at that star-studded Eagles defense. Like since that last Super Bowl, they've added Jalen Carter, Zach Bond,
mm,
Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, like probably four of their best defensive players right now.
mm,
And Brandon Graham is possibly going to play.
yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah.
activated, so this could be the guy's last Super Bowl. Such an Eagles legend. Like, I don't know. This
It's
defense seems like it's
it's
going to come out of
written
the
in the
blocks.
stars. It's written in the stars.
Yeah. I don't
um,
know. I think I really like the Eagles defense too. And I think similarly, if they knock Mahomes out of a rhythm early and the lockdown defense that like Quinyon Mitchell has played this season, it doesn't matter who he's going to be on as kind of the main, whoever is the main target for Mahomes. I think they can just switch Mitchell onto him at any given time, and then
yeah,
DeGene is obviously probably going to cover Travis Kelce,
yeah,
and he really had a tough game last week, so that's another big one.
yeah,
That's a player that needs to step up. Usually does in the big moment, but it's hard to know with such a strong smart defender on him.
yeah,
With Mahomes under pressure, will he have a big game here?
yeah, exactly. And like Zach Bourne is such a, I don't want to say diamond in the rough, but he's having an unbelievable season compared to how he's been with my poor Saints. But it is it's nuts. I saw a stat. It was about he's had 151 tackles this season.
Crazy.
This regular season, even I think he's added like another 26 in this postseason, and I think ah, how we describe each offense and how they're playing, and we're on about Spags, and he happy to let Jalen Hurts go about his business slowly as long as Saquon doesn't do anything big. I think
Yeah,
the mindset for the Chiefs defense is bend but don't break.
yeah, yeah,
So you can let them drive up the field a couple times, but as long as it doesn't result in a big score at the end, then they're fine with it because they've been in the scenario before. They know they've had the experience. They can get back into it. Whereas with the Eagles, it's like last week forcing four turnovers. Zach Bond, unbelievable, punching the ball out on multiple
yeah,
occasions or trying to. I think with the Eagles, it's again, it's going to be like they're going to force these turnovers over and or try to, and then run the ball down your throat and score straight away.
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to want to be as conservative. I think they're going to want to come out quickly. I think they're going to be aggressive on defense straight away to
yeah,
set the tone. Go. How they've been, and throughout the season they want to carry on doing the same. But it's nuts, especially you mentioned Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, how they're already like not elite, but already great players in their position, and they haven't been in the league for a full year, I guess. No,
yeah. No, it's
it's
crazy.
unbelievable. I think we've thrown Steve Spagnuolo's name about.
Yeah,
I almost forgot that Vic Fangio was also the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, which is
yeah,
a defensive genius, defensive powerhouse. So I think a lot of credit has to go to him,
yeah,
and I knowing like, okay, these are the way that these guys are meant to be played. I could give them this scheme, but knowing what their skills are and how it's going to benefit my scheme, it's great because Dennis Allen was he was a good DC at the Saints, but he never got this production out of Zach Bond. So
no,
I think, but you are totally right. This defense is star-studded. I think they're gonna have a big influence on the game. I think defense overall on both sides of the ball is going to be really important, and I think it's easy to not overlook it because you have Mahomes and Saquon on both offenses. That it's going to be a really good game. I honestly can't wait for it.
yeah. I know it's gonna be so good, and I think mentioning Vic Fangio is, of course, a great point because it's almost like we have like a showdown of two genius DCs more than anything. Obviously,
Mm,
Andy Reid, he gets the credit he deserves. He's such a great coach, and he has been previously for the Eagles too. But a little bit less so in terms of the respect that we see on the Eagles side of things. For Sirianni, people kind of think he's more of a puppet.
yes.
But I think Fangio deserves probably the most credit out of. I know Kellen Moore, excellent job as well.
Mm.
He might be landing over there with you guys. You never know.
I honestly feel like we're just gonna hire Brandon Staley just for the hell of it. I honestly, it's gonna be something so stupid.
You
I'm not
never know
saying
what's going to
anything yet.
happen with the Saints, to be honest.
Literally. No.
But yeah, I think Fangio just deserves all the credit in the world for what he's done with these young guys, and
Mm,
the way he's moved Zach Bond positionally as well, and how well he's performed. And I think a point you mentioned kind of about Chiefs bending but not breaking. A point that goes into that is rarely missing a tackle, and that's
yeah.
also something that the Eagles do. So that's why this game is just going to be like I found when I first started enjoying the sport, maybe about 7, 8 years ago. I thought, offense, offense, offense. Now you feel like a bit more nerdy about it that you're like, oh, wonder what he's going to scheme up on defense. You want to
Yeah,
see a
yeah.
big defensive game. And that's kind of the main
Yes.
thing for me that's exciting me about this game. So kind of having said that, I want to know who do you think is going to win and a score prediction for the game. Throw it my way and then I'll give you
God,
mine.
God. Ah, well, this is the kicker now. One, I don't want to jinx it. I'll say who I think will win anyway, but I know I'm going to jinx it. Um, I think you have these two great offenses, two unbelievable defenses, so it's hard to imagine it's going to be high scoring. But
Hmm,
I just think Saquon's just running at such a his pace at the moment is unbelievable. Like he just keeps two first touches against Washington. He scores in both of them. He's just a machine. So it's really hard to imagine that he will not have a massive game. And with that, it's hard to imagine that he'll get at least one touchdown.
for sure.
With with the Chiefs wanting to play, play it for as long as possible. I think. I reckon it might be. I reckon. I reckon. Well, okay, one thing definitely it won't be a close game. It won't be like 3 points in it. I think at
Okay.
least I think at least a touchdown. So
Okay.
let's go with a let's go with a 27 27-20 to the Eagles. Even
Oh
though I
my
think
God.
even though I think that's I don't know that might
You
be.
won't be Man, you won't believe this here. Like I have written my prediction down and I have prediction 27-20 to Philadelphia as well.
No
The
way.
exact same score.
No way. That can't bode well
I,
now.
s- I
No,
swear
that is
they're
a
gonna
bad
get
luck.
blown out.
Yeah, they are. Oh, what have we done? What
We
have we
have the
done?
exact. I can't believe we have the same. We have basically like a lot of similar opinions, and then bang, we had the same prediction. I was thinking about it, and I was looking at the reason I went with 27-20 is because I thought Eagles win by a touchdown instead of a field goal, similar to
Yeah,
what you said, and then
yeah.
the score was because I usually the odds makers aren't far off, and I think the over under is like 47.5 or 48.5.
Oh, okay.
So I said, okay, around 47 points. That sounds about right. So
Yeah.
look, we've both gone with Philly, and we've both gone 27-20. Listen, guys,
Good.
like we didn't prep that. We both just came in blind to that. So if you want to put some money on that, you can thank us afterwards if it comes up. But yeah, that's what we both think Philly are going to win. But to be honest, the more we talk there, the more I started thinking maybe the Chiefs are going to win. But
I know.
I don't know. I'm going to stick with what I think, and I'm gonna stick with Philly. But any closing points on the game? Anything else?
Yeah, I don't. I think it'd be really good. I think both offenses are gonna churn some yards. Again, don't know about high scoring, but they're gonna churn some yards. Defense is gonna come up with plays. I think we're definitely gonna see some turnovers. 100%. Like, Chiefs have been really conservative with the ball and not turning over that much. I think both teams going into postseason. I think the Chief, I think the Eagles turned over like 15 times, and the Chiefs only turned it over 14 times. But with how this Eagles defense is playing, I think we're going to see a change of that. And I think maybe, like you said, I think Travis Kelce's going to have a big influence. I think if they're turning the ball over, then it means okay, we're going to have to switch a gear now, and they're going to look at all reliable.
Yeah,
He's already averaging like 15 yards the game in this postseason now. So I think he's definitely going to have something to say about the overall game. But no,
yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to watch it, and I can't wait for us to both be wrong. We've jinxed them. We have jinxed them.
Yeah, we just completely ruined the hopes for all Philly fans. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think it will be such a great game. I'm really looking forward to it now, and I want to see what the teams are going to come out. And on the point of the turnovers, actually, I think if the Chiefs have to chase the game, we could see a big turnover, maybe ending it or something like that too. So
yeah, maybe, yeah.
let's see what happens there. But man, thanks a million again for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
And
man.
we'll
Thank you so much.
no problem at all. Great to chat to you, and we'll definitely have you on again in the future. But yeah, enjoy the game, and we'll chat again soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, lads. So really appreciated having Conan on. Such a good chat. It was just mad. We both had the same prediction for the Super Bowl in terms of the score and everything. But yeah, might have to put some money on that exact scoreline now. So now, as I mentioned at the start, let's jump into a chat with Michael. We're gonna talk about NBA, and we're gonna talk about trades and the trade deadline and big trades that have gone down. So let's jump into that. Right, so lads, me and my man Michael are going to chat about the NBA trade deadline. So we're going to focus mainly on the big trades that went down. But if you want to say hi, Michael, say what's up.
Hi, I'm Michael. Anyways, I work with James, but I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. I watched the first two podcasts and I'm enjoying what I see, so I feel honored to be
Nice
here
one.
now.
Appreciate you coming on. Obviously, Michael's big interest in the NBA. Sixers fan like myself, but we're gonna get him to start writing articles soon. I think he has an idea, a great idea. So we're gonna push him on that, and we might see him a few more times hopefully. But appreciate you coming on. I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
lead in with the Luka trade. Obviously, that's the biggest one that we're gonna touch on. Trade deadline. So we're Wednesday here. We're recording. We're about 24 hours out from the trade deadline, so it's 8 p.m. Irish time on Thursday. We're now 7 p.m. on a Wednesday, so something big could go down between now and then. We'll have to cover that in a small video if it does happen, separately for the channel. But right now we're going to talk about what's already gone down. So out of absolutely nowhere, we see the Mavs trading away basically their man for the future, who everybody thought, this is their entire future. This is how they're going to win chips. With Luka, almost got there last year. Got to the conference finals when nobody expected them to. I'll give the full trade. So it was Luka, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris went to the Lakers, and then in return, Dallas got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first rounder. The Jazz were also in there for some absolute garbage on the side, yeah. So let's just forget about that. Two second rounders and Hood Schifino, yeah, they're not really a part of this. They're just to make up the numbers, but absolutely took the NBA world and the sporting world, to be honest, by storm. So let's hear your take on it. What do you think?
Honestly, this is definitely one of those trades where it's one of those moments where you remember exactly what happened when you read it. I had just woken up, and I actually read it, thought it was NBA sent out, went back to sleep, and then I woke up again, started going through Reddit, and I was like, oh my god, this actually happened. What did they give up? And I heard AD. I thought there was going to be Dalton Connect, AR, Rui. I thought they were shelling the whole team. Not just AD and Max Christie. That is
Uh,
unbelievable.
I can't believe it, man. Honestly, I woke up the same as you and read it. Like, and what I read was it was some guy had like a bit of like a joke scenario, being like, "Oh, we want AD," like Mavs ringing up Lakers, being like, "We want AD," and they're like, "Nah, he's not. We can't trade him." And then it's like, "Yeah, we'll give you Luka," and then them being like, "We'll pack his bags for him." And I was like, "Oh, this is just one of those jokes like someone's put." And then the next thing underneath that was the Shams tweet, and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is crazy." So a little look at Luka last season. Yeah, he had an absolutely monster season last year, nearly averaged a triple double with 33.9 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, and 9.8 assists per game. That's in the regular season. Then in the playoffs, he was close to 29 points per game, 9.5 rebounds per game, and 8 assists per game. There's a couple of things going around that have floated around for a while about his physical shape, and he has kind of quashed that already. That wasn't a reason, and that people can kind of say what they want, of course. And then also there was question marks about his defense, which at times is questionable at the very least. But when he's putting up those numbers that he's putting up, I don't like. I get the Mavs what their messaging is right now, that they're saying, "Oh, defense first, defense wins championships," blah blah blah. But like, you had defense, you had one of the best defensive teams in the league last year. Towards the end, once they made those two trades, to bring in Washington and Gafford, and now you just traded away your cornerstone of your franchise, who apparently gave no inclination that he was gonna like not sign. So I don't get it. Like,
He had just bought what, a $15 million mansion in
yeah,
Dallas. So I mean, that's someone who looks like he wants to leave. Like
just no.
as as the as like it's what, 48 hours now since the trade, and as more and more information has come out, it like two things are very, very clear. One, Rob Pelinka is literally the worst human on earth. This is social engineering. Like, colleges need to study this. This man convinced Nico Harrison, isn't Nico Harrison,
Yeah, Nico
that
Harrison.
the liability was on him, and talked him down from Dalton Connect.
Yeah,
And AR, was it, or Rui? Like,
yeah.
unbelievable levels of scamming. On top of it, and Nico Harrison, there's rumors circulating. I'm big. I like watching the rumor pulse. I'm not watching the articles. So there's rumors that more or less there's sound bites coming out. I think Tim McMahon reported on it that he kind of knows he only has like 4 years. So he says he wants to do it with his guys. But nuking a franchise.
No, this is nuts. This guy, like, if he has 4 years, he might have halved that if they had competent owners. But the owners don't really seem to know. If Mark Cuban was there, this is not happening. First of all, like as a bigger owner, obviously he still has a small share, but like this guy, this is the same guy that botched the Steph Curry presentation for when he was trying to sign with Nike and presented him like a Kevin Durant presentation and like mixed a lot of things up in that apparently. This is Nico Harrison, and now he's gone back with his guy AD like that he's buddies with. So of course AD has no problem going there. Like, um, but I already saw today that the Mavericks put out like an AD graphic, and it was like 10 All-Stars, or sorry, 9 All-Stars, and then AD had to comment on the post saying 10 All-Stars. They didn't include the latest one. Like, what are they doing over there? It doesn't. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, look, like AD was playing some of the best ball he ever has recently, but the question marks are always the same with him. That he's not the number one guy on a team. He is one of the best players in the NBA at his position and probably overall. But he's always, when he thrived with the Lakers, it was with LeBron as the leader. Now he has Kyrie there alongside him, but Kyrie had his own struggles last season in the playoffs, unable to create his own shot at times, and now he's going to be the primary ball handler. Who else you got? Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, what are
Caleb
we doing?
Martin.
Caleb
Caleb
Martin. Yeah,
Martin. Now,
but yeah, true. But I honestly think Harrison made a mess there too because he gave up Quentin Grimes, 25-year-old player who was literally playing the best he ever has. A really nice piece that they added. And he just gave him up for Caleb Martin, who, yeah, he's a playoff performer, but he hasn't been playing well this year. And he has his injury issues. And they gave up a pick as well for that. It feels like he's going, you know what? Take a good player. We'll take a player that's not quite as good, but we'll give you picks as well and other players. Like he it doesn't seem like he's actually thinking about what he's doing whatsoever.
and like not getting that, is it the 31 first round pick from the Lakers is an absolute botch of it. And then even with the trade with Quentin Grimes, what we have Kyrie, Caleb Martin, AD, all of them injury prone. Um,
Incredibly
who's
so.
PJ's just come back from
Yeah.
injury, right?
And Gafford has been, sorry, Lively has been struggling. One of them. One of the
Like
guys has been struggling with injury, Gafford or Lively. I think both of them at times this season.
this team is like a reverse Clippers from 4 years ago. It's just everybody is injury prone, but nobody is going to take you to the homeland in the playoffs.
I know. I just don't know. I don't get why they did this for the future. I kind of see it now, the idea, if they all stayed healthy, but as we've highlighted, they've struggled to do so. And Kyrie has that issue, like with a bulging disc in his back all season. Like that's just not what you want, especially when AD is coming in, who is at times when he plays against bigger physical guys, he finds it tough. So what? Are they going to play him at the four like he wanted to his whole career because Nico Harrison is his buddy? Like, he doesn't work as well at the four. He's better as a center, and PJ Washington next to him at the four would work. But I feel like AD is going to like get his way to an extent, and then what, you're going to play with Lively and AD on the floor. Then who you sacrificing? Is Washington going to play then at the three, and then you're playing Martin and Kyrie? Like realistically, only Kyrie can handle the ball out of all of those guys. Like the lineup doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless AD plays at center, and I don't know if he's going to be happy to do so. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense, but I think the Lakers obviously are licking their lips right now. It'll be interesting to see what they do at the deadline, because if they don't do something in terms of their center position or defense, full stop, all their games are going to be like 140, 150 because they traded away their best two defenders really this season with Christie and AD in one trade.
I
So
think that's going to be a really interesting thing to see over the next 24 hours is will the Lakers commit to winning now and trading AR and possibly that last first round pick for a big? Because we're hearing now that the Suns are looking to acquire Jonas Valanciunas that they've been talking about the whole time, and we're hearing Miles Turner again for the sixth year in a
Uh,
row. It feels like, but I have a feeling seeing Rob Pelinka sit on all his assets for 3 years after blowing up the championship roster and
mhm.
it finally paying off,
Yeah.
I feel like has just vindicated all of his bad moves and his
Yeah.
bad waiting over the last few years. And I can't see him. I can see him just being like, nah, we'll wait until LeBron retires. Like, I can see him just not doing anything until that big fat paycheck is off the books and he can just spend as much as he wants.
Because this is Luka's team now. Like whatever LeBron wants, it doesn't matter anymore at this point. To be honest, I think LeBron might ride off into the sunset with Steph or something next year. I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think they could kind of move completely off LeBron in the summer, but that would be a LeBron decision, I suppose, too, with his no trade clause, etc. But obviously this is Luka's team, but I think another thing that this does now is makes younger stars want to go there because stars want to play with Luka, and especially young stars. Whereas I think looking at LeBron and AD, nobody younger really would have wanted to go there with the idea that they're going to win multiple chips. Whereas now, I think they definitely would. They might have gone for a payday. They might have gone to play be on the Lakers, such a big deal. But I think now it's a bigger draw again. But that's such a big trade that went down. Any other thoughts on it?
Uh, Not really. Just along that topic, just a little bump. You see Kyrie having so much fun with Luca, saying
Hmm.
how he really feels like he's a brother. But we also heard Kyrie 2 years ago try and recruit LeBron to come to Dallas. Now both of his boys are in LA.
I know. Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
leave it at that.
Sad times for Kyrie. We might see another spiraling of Kyrie if things go wrong this season. Like we've had some nice Kyrie years, but he might start throwing balls at kids rather than apologizing for hitting them with it if things start to go awry. No, I can't really say that. I suppose that's a bit of a, a bit of a step too far, but this is all in jest, of course. But yeah, let's see what happens there with that as well. I suppose it's interesting, another bit of a storyline. But another big trade that went down then, I suppose, not as big, but one that moves a team closer to where we know they're going to be, in terms of the Spurs. So the Spurs acquired De'Aaron Fox, from the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, Kings, a team I love. I love just watching them play this season. I'm sad Fox is gone. Let's see what happens. But the full trade is Fox and Jordan McLaughlin ended up with the Spurs. Zach LaVine, Sissoko, three firsts and 3 seconds to the Kings. Now, one of those firsts will probably turn into two second rounders, because it's protected for the Hornets, who suck so bad. So they are not going to finish outside of the bottom 15. So there's going to be two second rounders. So really, like two firsts and 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then Zach Colin Jones and Kevin Herter back to the Bulls, and the Bulls got their own first round pick back, but it doesn't really matter because it was protected in the top 10, and they look like they're going to finish in the bottom 10 teams in the league anyway. So they're just like, oh, here you go, have your trade back, have your pick back that you were going to have anyway. So the Bulls got taken for a ride here, to be honest. They gave up Zach LaVine for peanuts, and they had chances to get rid of him over the past few years, but they didn't do it. I think they'll probably regret that now. But yeah, what do you think on this one?
I think I think this trade is, I think, just classic bad management. You know, we have the Spurs, veterans when it comes to trades, developing players, knowing what they have. And the Kings and the Bulls ignore all of that pedigree, ignore every rule you make in the books, sees what the Mavs did, and almost like, that's a great idea. What if I just undersell all of my assets? The Kings not getting Stefan Castle, not getting any of the young players,
Yeah.
not getting any Atlanta picks over the next few years, which I think are huge, or any picks of substance. I mean, we have a 2027 first round pick from the Spurs. Who cares? The only one of note is the 2031 Wolves first round pick,
Yeah,
which
that's
if Anthony Edwards, sorry, AE, gets upset and requests a trade, it might come out. But then the Bulls also getting back Zach Collins, Kevin Herter, and Trey Jones. Okay, some of that can be just taking the bad, you know, the worst players in that. Kevin Herter is having an abysmal year.
yeah,
But also not getting a first round pick of note is shocking. The Spurs walk away with everything they wanted with minimal loss. And we're looking at the two biggest trades of the deadline and going, what's happening?
yeah. It seems like two teams, like you said, that just didn't manage the situation correctly. Like I don't understand how Levine can leave without getting anything back, and I think they could possibly move on for Trey Jones here. There's word that they might want to trade him already, so somebody else might take him on as a backup point guard. I don't really see there's a market for Herder there. They probably could just keep him, to be honest, because he's having such a bad year. And then obviously what they got back, that their own first rounder, is just like not really getting anything back. But in terms of looking at what the other teams have done here, I think Fox was a good pickup. He's having a good season, one of his best. Such a good fit with Wemby, having a younger point guard to kind of step in. Kind of have Chris Paul also maybe guiding him this season, going into what could happen in the future with this Wemby and Fox duo. And the fact that they also didn't have to give up Paul or Harrison Barnes is a big thing as well. Like they kept on to their veterans as well as their best young players. So the Spurs are laughing here. They've got the guy that they wanted and a guy who wanted to go to them, more importantly as well. Just a nice fit overall. Looking at Fox this season so far, he's had 25 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, and 1.5 steals per game. So pretty good statistically. And then with Levine, he's having one of his best statistical seasons that he's ever had in terms of his shooting. But the question always around him is, can he stay fit? Can he stay healthy? I would hope he can. I like the him and DeRozan getting back together. They've basically just gone for the Bulls 2.0 here. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think these two fits are going to be like?
I think the Spurs fit is going to be great. Now we might see some growing pains now with Stefan Castle, Chris Paul, and De'Aaron Fox in terms of growth. But if we're worried about growth, the team to send you to and the team that knows their stuff is the Spurs, historically known for developing players. So I think they've made a fantastic move, and like you said, keeping their veterans is very, very underrated. The Kings are such an interesting team, and I'm not a Kings fan, but they always seem to gather my attention because they'll collect assets and I mean, they had that Light the Beam season that I was enamored with.
Yeah,
I loved watching every single win, seeing them like cheer together and stuff. But there's always something wrong, you
yeah,
know? And I think over the years, it has to come down to the front office. But even then, this season, I thought it was a classic case of the Kings. They're acting too rash, firing their coach. I completely forgot his name.
Mike Brown.
Mike Brown, right after winning Coach of the Year,
Yeah,
bringing them out of the mud. Um, and then hearing that it was disciplinary issues with Fox.
yeah,
And then Doug Collins comes in and everything's okay and they're going on a winning streak and everyone seems happy and free. And then Fox demands a trade. And how much of a circus is it going on back there for you to get exactly what you want and be like, I can't take it.
yeah.
This is enough.
I think the word on him was like that he wanted to move on to a team that he could win. And then it was like, oh, we went on a winning streak, and he's like, oh, maybe next year then. It's fine. I'm happy here. And then he was actually like, oh wait, the market is there now. I'm gone. I'm getting out of here. So yeah, Doug Christie is doing a good job so far, but like, let's see, this has just completely changed the whole dynamic of the team. Now we're going to see a lot more DeRozan nights than we did before. Don't think there's anything wrong with that. Monk as well, pretty solid player. Going to move into a definite starting role now. So look, they've got the shooting there. Somehow they've got even less defense than they did before. But let's see, let's see what happens. I think they're an interesting case, an interesting team to watch. They might make the play-in, but it's really hard to tell what's going to happen now after that. Obviously, we know what's going to happen with the Bulls. They're just tanking like even more than they were before, especially now that they have control of their own pick, which they already did have. So yeah, their argument there doesn't make sense. But
All they
let's
needed to do was be worse. But they wanted to make sure if we weren't as worse, we could still have something.
yeah, literally they just were like, this guy that we got offers for years ago, we're gonna move him now. And apparent next thing, Vucevic is having a great season. He's a player that someone will possibly look to pick up on the deadline. Maybe the Warriors, but the Warriors seem to be contacting the Jazz and the Pelicans now, so the Warriors are just scraping the bottom of the barrel at the moment looking for a trade. Um, there's some other things that have gone on. We had Chris Middleton leaving the Bucks today, so he's gone. He's out of there. So they've got Kyle Kuzma in their team now. Interesting move. I think probably the right time to move on Middleton with his injury history and puts Kuzma in a nice position to be on a challenger and contribute. So let's see what happens there. But we'll all have our eyes on the deadline on Wednesday. Hopefully we get some more big news that we have to cover again. But we've kind of covered the main trades there that have gone down, that the ones that everybody has been focusing on. Do you have any takeaways or any final points?
Final points? Not really. I think just on the Bucks trade, I think it's super interesting that this is the trade they went for. They lose AJ Johnson, who has been really promising this year, really looking like he can shoot the ball from anywhere on the court if he gets his two hands on it. Um, but you have to move on from Chris Middleton. I saw I saw the injury report the other day for Chris, and he was out, and the reason was just ankles, plural. Not
Yeah,
not strain, not issues, just ankles, plural. So it's it's tough with a guy who's been there for so long.
yeah,
Your fan base is never going to feel like you got back enough. And I think people's opinion on Kuzma has kind of been out ever since he got to the Wizards. But maybe he'll be more likable next to Giannis. But I'm excited for the next 24 hours. Fingers crossed we see another Lakers trade and we get to see LeBron go to the finals again one last time.
that'd be cool.
But
Yeah. Or
I'm
maybe we'll
glad.
see we'll see the Sixers do something. Absolutely not. They've just traded away KJ Martin for nothing just to be under the apron. So yeah, there's that. They're just trying to save money as always, but
But if KJ Martin goes to the Lakers, we have to admit Gil's Arena will just explode. On the Sixers, honestly, I'm glad we didn't talk about him much. The
yeah,
trade deadline has been so exciting. I haven't thought about our record. So
yeah. Let's not dwell on them right now. Let's just bask in the glory of the trade deadline. Forget about everything the Sixers have done. But thanks again for coming on, Michael. Really appreciate it. I'm going to leave your Instagram in the description, and we hope we get a bit of an article or two out of you soon, and we'll see you on again here soon, I'm sure. So appreciate you for coming on, man. Thanks.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Nice one, man. Okay, so I really appreciate Michael jumping on there. Had a great chat about various trades, and we'll definitely look to have both him and Conan back on again. So I really appreciate the lads jumping on and having a chat with me about the Super Bowl with Conan, and then obviously the trade deadline and trades, etc. with Michael. So now let's get into Gan Chance. So I'm going to give Shane's pick. So last week, of course, we have to mention what Shane did. So he had the first 3 out of 3 week. So last week he had Wolves to beat Aston Villa. So that was 2-0 to Wolves. Big win there. Southampton to beat Ipswich. Muric kind of handed that game to Southampton in the Ipswich net, but great pick. One that I doubt many people would have gone with. And then he had the Hornets to beat the Clippers, another crazy one. So yeah, three. He's up now to 9 points in total. So 2 points in the first 2 weeks and 5 points last week. So he's up to 9, and I am on a measly 3 points. Like getting one right every week, I thought, that's all right. Keep that streak going. But Shane is powering on, so you need to start putting some money on these underdogs that he's picking, because this is not normal for him. Sorry, this is not normal for anybody. Like, to be getting this many underdogs correct, it's just like such great predictions. Shane is absolutely flying it, but obviously he knows what he's chatting about. He knows his stuff. So back him, lads. Put a bit of money on the line. So let's get into this week's. So what Shane has gone for here, he's gone back with his Hornets. This time he's gone with them to beat the Spurs. So interesting one there. We just had a good chat about the Spurs, myself and Michael, about the moves they made in trade deadline. And then after that, he's gone with Millwall to beat Leeds in the FA Cup. So it's an FA Cup weekend this week. So he's said that Leeds are pushing for the championship title. They're likely to make changes in this game, and an all championship affair could be up in the air, could go either way here. And then he's also gone for Burnley to beat Southampton. So he said Southampton had their tails up in the league after that last win. They're fighting to survive. He said Burnley don't concede goals, so it wouldn't be a shock. So Burnley are 4-1 and Millwall are 13-2. He has here. Then getting into mine, I actually also have Burnley to win. So I've gone with Burnley to beat Southampton too. So Southampton are 13-20, and that's on Saturday afternoon. And Burnley, obviously Shane mentioned, they're 4-1. So what I've gone for this is I've said that Burnley have only conceded once since Christmas, and there's been 7 goals in the last 7 Southampton games in the Prem that they've scored. Now they did beat Swansea 3-0 in the cup, but only 7 goals in 7 games in the Prem, and against a defense who have been excellent for Burnley. I've put in that this could be one that goes to penalties, so we'll see what happens there. I think anything can happen once it goes to penalties, but I think Burnley will just be looking to keep this as quiet as possible, and they might settle for a 0-0. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I've also gone with my 76ers. They're 20-29 now with Joel Embiid back in the lineup. They're playing the Pistons on Friday night in Detroit. I think Sixers are on a good run. Some of their best players are coming back. We might see Quentin Grimes playing his first game there. And I think it will be close, but I'm going to back my team here to beat Detroit, even though they're having a great season, which I chatted about last week. So that's what I'm going for there. So the Pistons have 25 wins and the Sixers have 20. And then my extra one is an NBA one too. So I'm going back with the Blazers, who are on a massive hot streak. So last week I had them to beat the Suns, which they did. That was my one win last week. And this week I've gone with them to beat the Timberwolves on Saturday night. So the Blazers have won 9 of the last 10. So they've beaten the Suns twice. They beat the Pacers very nicely last night. I don't know what's going on with them. They've just completely turned around. It's madness. They might even be making a play-in push at this point. I know they're only 22-29, but winning 9 of their last 10, if they keep that kind of form going into the rest of the season, you never know what's going to happen. So also then looking at the Timberwolves, they're a bit iffy this season. Very hard to predict. They lost their last 2 games to the Kings and the Wizards before that, which is madness. So yeah, gonna go with the Blazers there for myself with that one. So now let's jump into the football chat. So I'm just going to touch on one topic here. So what I wanted to talk about was something related to the transfer deadline day, since that just passed. So I want to talk about an Irish player. I want to talk about Evan Ferguson. So Ferguson has gotten a loan move to West Ham for until the end of the season, getting back with Graham Potter, who's been newly appointed there at West Ham. I think it's a good move for him. I think something that was definitely needed. Things weren't great with Brighton this season. Obviously, injuries played a part in that, but he seemed to be down the pecking order, which I don't agree with because he's such a high level striker. One that the kind of profile that's in such high demand at the moment, and probably there's not an abundance of. So if he can kind of cement himself as a solid Premier League starter, that'd be excellent. And I think West Ham is the perfect place to go. Obviously, Mikel Antonio had that unfortunate accident, so his leg. He's out with a broken leg, and then we've had other injuries for West Ham, including Fulkrug, who's like barely played a lot of injuries. So I think Ferguson, great move to get back with Potter, a good team to go to. In terms of Ferguson in general, so he's still only 20 years old. You have to keep that in mind. And he has a lot to kind of live up to, I suppose, with the hype that's built around him, which is very difficult. I think going to a West Ham, a team where I think he can get regular minutes with a good manager, who have some good creative players there. Him working with Bowen, I think that could be a nice link up. I could see those two working well together because Ferguson does drop off and Bowen does like to fill that forward space too. So could be something there with a bit of interchanging between the two and kind of occupying different spaces. And that's just kind of my own opinion on what could happen there. It's hard to know, but I think him getting into a team where he is going to be a starter, works with a good manager, and he might not have too many expectations on him because he's now in a change of scenery. He's not with the club he was with before, and he's kind of on a loan deal. It's not been a big money transfer or anything like that. I think that's good for him rather than going straight for a big transfer and then things maybe piling on to him a lot, especially after recovering from injury. He needs to ease back into things, and I think it's a good situation for him. So obviously he started with Bohemians in Ireland. He was kind of recognised for that strong physique and good finishing that he had at a very young age, and he went over to the Brighton Academy when he was 14. So first appearance in the senior team was in 2021. First Prem start was in 2022-23 season versus Everton. But he scored in his second sub appearance the game before that, I believe, against Arsenal. That was on New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve of 2022. So not long ago now, only just a couple of years back when he kind of came onto the scene. He had 3 goals and 2 assists then in the 4 games that were kind of surrounding that, so the Arsenal game and then the Everton game and the next 2. So a great start for him. 6 goals and 2 assists in 10 Premier League starts that season, and then the following season, 6 goals in 15 Premier League starts. Now he's struggled this season, obviously with injuries and stuff too, and limited playing time. That's been difficult. He's kind of the main hope, I suppose, with the Irish attacking line in the future. A lot of young Irish stars coming up. Obviously, we can't ignore the likes of Mason Melia, who just got the first £1 million transfer from League of Ireland. So that was a really big one. He's gone to Spurs. He will be there in the January transfer next season because that's the next window that after he turns 18. So obviously we can't ignore guys like him, guys that are coming up. Other guys like Rocco Vata, etc., really playing well for Watford. But in terms of like a striker that's ready to go right now, that we have a lot of hopes on as kind of Irish fans, it really is Ferguson. Parrott, of course, it's important to remember. I think Parrott's only 23. Like, feels like he's been around for a lot longer, but he's a guy coming into his own in the Eredivisie, so we could see front two of Ferguson and Parrott in the near future. But Ireland have a lot of good young talent coming up, maybe lacking a bit in midfield. But Ferguson is someone that people have a lot of hopes for. So for Ireland so far, he has 18 caps, 4 goals and 1 assist. Got his first call up in 2022. I've seen him play for Ireland live a couple of times. His presence on the field, you can tell whenever he gets the ball, there's a buzz in the stadium. It's just great to kind of see him play in the Aviva, and long may that continue. But I think this move to West Ham will really kickstart that for him. It's my opinion that this will go well. I think we will see him break into that team, cement himself as a starter there for the rest of the season and score multiple goals. I do think we will see that. I have every faith that his clinical finishing, his control, some of the goals he scored for Brighton, just that first touch and the ability to snap in a finish. Not many strikers have that. And I think what they were asking for around 40 million for him this window, if it was to be a permanent deal, I think that would have been a great deal for someone to pick up. Obviously, I think this loan works out, then he can reevaluate in the summer. But Bayer Leverkusen were interested in him, and other teams in Germany as well. Obviously, other top teams in England. So I think a move to Germany would be great. I'd love to see an Irish player in the Bundesliga, especially for Leverkusen. That'd be just amazing to play for a team that's challenging with Xabi Alonso as the coach, playing with players like Florian Wirtz. It'd be so amazing to see Ferguson do that. It possibly might be a step in the summer. We'll see how his value is in the summer after this transfer. I'm thinking it would be on the up if things go well, which I do think they will. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to touch on. There's been a few transfers for Irish players in this window. Obviously, Melia was a big news here for especially for the League of Ireland. That move from St. Pat's, I think it was 1.6 million. It was just reported earlier this week, so that was huge. And then we've had other moves like Festi Abaselli got recalled from his loan to Watford, and now he's gone to Istanbul, Başakşehir. So that's a big move for him. An Irish player in the Turkish league is great too. I love to see these Irish guys just playing in multiple leagues and representing Ireland across Europe. I think it's important for them to branch out because if they all play in the English system, especially in the lower leagues, there's kind of common themes with how teams play, and I do think we need these guys to branch out and play in different leagues. I think Festi playing in Italy was really good for him, very important. I think Jake O'Brien playing in Lyon was a big deal. Now, obviously, we've got Andrew Amadelli over in Strasbourg, so that's big for him playing in the French league, similar to O'Brien. We've got John Patrick playing in the French league as well. Good big young star. Hopefully he continues what he's doing over there with them. Excellent to see him. He just looks such a physical presence on the field. Then outside of that, we've seen Gavin Bazunu moved over to the Belgian league, Standard Liège. So that's another league that we have an Irish representation in. So all in all, I really enjoy seeing these guys move to different leagues, and I think it would be a good move for Evan if he did move to Germany. So that's something we're going to keep an eye out on. We might see something happen in the summer. Obviously, we'll be touching on transfers, but important to focus on the Irish guys because I think it's good and things are looking up in the future if we fill that need in midfield. But myself and Shane will definitely have a chat over the next international window about the Irish team and obviously into the summer with the World Cup qualifiers. So that's my football topic for this week. So just going to wrap things up now by getting into the power rankings. So I'll go with mine here first. So last week I had Liverpool first. I still have them first. Last week I had the Rockets second. Now they're on a bit of a slump. I've actually dropped them out completely because I think there's other NBA teams that are warranted more. And I made these rankings before last night when D'Lo dropped a game-winning three and the Nets beat the Rockets, scoring 2 threes in the last 9 seconds. So I think that's kind of even more justified now. But I've gone and moved the Eagles up to second. Just kind of looking into the Super Bowl, looking at their season in general, and I just feel like they're the team I think will win. So I've put them up to second for the fantastic season that they've had. They were third last week for me. Then I've got the Chiefs in third. They were fourth last week. So both the Eagles and Chiefs moving up one with the Rockets slipping out. I've got the Knicks then in fourth. So last week I had them in sixth. I think them taking down the Grizzlies was a big one. They're on a 7-3 run at the moment and they're third in the East. So they're on a great run offensively. They've been excellent. Towns has been excellent. I actually think they won again so last night, so they're on 8-3 run at the moment. Then I've gone with Arsenal in fifth after that big win against City. Just their season in general needed a big win, but I think overall they've been very good this season. And they will hopefully make a little bit of a title race. I know Shane won't want to hear that, but I think it would be nice to see a little bit of a challenge at least down the stretch. But they finished third in the Champions League and they're second in the Premier League at the moment, third in the table for Champions League, should I say. So into the knockout rounds. Looking at this, they've had one loss since the 6th of November, and that was against Newcastle, and they have the ability to turn that around. It's on right now. I'm not sure of the score, so that might not happen, but that was their only loss since then. So I think they're on a very good run at the moment, and they deserve to be in that spot. So they're in fifth, and Bournemouth were in fifth last week, so I dropped them out to put Arsenal in because I think they're, even though Bournemouth having a hell of a season, I think Arsenal deserve that recognition. And then in sixth, I've gone with the Grizzlies. So I mentioned the Knicks beat them, but they're on a 7-3 run of their own with Ja Morant in and out of the lineup with injury. They've looked such a force. Jaren Jackson Jr. just looks excellent this season. So they're second in the West at the moment. They just recently beat the Bucks and the Rockets. So they're a force to be reckoned with. Very strong team, very good defensively. So I like what they're doing over there. So I've put them in sixth now. Last week, as I mentioned, the Knicks were in sixth, so they've moved up. The reason I kind of had the Knicks ahead was just the fact that they beat the Grizzlies the last time they played just very recently. So that's my top six: Liverpool, Eagles, Chiefs, Knicks, Arsenal, and the Memphis Grizzlies. So let's have a look at Shane's last week. He had Liverpool first, then he had the Rockets, then the Chiefs, then the Thunder, Bournemouth, and then the Eagles. This week he's gone with Liverpool still in first. He has the Thunder moving up to second. He's got the Chiefs then in third. He's got the Cavs, so in fourth, so they're a new addition for him. He's dropped the Rockets out, so he has the Rockets are on an 0-3 run. Hard to include them, but it hurts not to have them in. I think 0-4 run now after that loss to the Nets last night, which was not a good one. Then he's got the Eagles in fifth, and then Forest making a reappearance, and he has their 7-0 win last week. Can't not have them in. Such a big win, such a dominant performance against a Brighton team who've just let Ferguson go. Couldn't score last week in that game. Didn't just really look disjointed. Very poor defensively overall. I really thought they were bad in that game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. So I really hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you enjoyed the guests on. Let us know if you'd like to have a bit more of an appearance of guests in the future. Anybody you would like to see on, or any topics you'd like to see covered with guests. We're definitely going to have Conan and Michael back on in the future. It was great chatting with the two lads, and hopefully we'll get Shane back in with us again next week. So lads, really appreciate you listening. Give it a share, give it a like, subscribe or follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. Subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching there, give it a like, comment. Everything that you can goes very far for us. Even a single like, even a single mention it to somebody, mention it to your friend, and commenting because there's a certain part of it that you thought, what you said here was interesting. I don't agree with what you said here. I agree. Give us some comments. Let us know what you think. But yeah, really appreciate you listening as always, and we will catch you again next week.